The Timex Marlin Snoopy Beagle Scout. This watch here is actually based off of the 1974 comic. And I'll tell you what, guys, it's a great watch, but is it truly worth the money? Well, we're going to find out on this episode of... Alright, so we have the Timex Snoopy Marlin. This is actually the Snoopy Beagle Scout. And it's actually done in an olive green. And look at that sunburst dial there. It's sunray. Beautifully done, guys. I mean, this thing just plays the light very, very nicely. And, I mean, it's really a pretty dial. I mean, Timex did an awesome job at this. And it looks very clean. I mean, this watch photographs so well. Especially with this box crystal. Look at the way that distorts there. Check this out. That is something. Now, the crystal, quote unquote, is actually an acrylic crystal. So it is prone to scratching. But the way I take care of the scratches is actually very simply, I don't use Polywatch actually. I actually use these Cape Cod cloths, and I know it's for fine metals, but it actually does work on these acrylic crystals, and this one is looking brand new again. Now, I've had this watch for quite a while. It's such a clean and classic watch, and I mean, how can you not smile when you look down and you see Snoopy right there at your 6 o'clock position? I mean, that is just... that makes the watch. I mean, let's be honest with you. Timex is going to charge you the premium for having Snoopy on the dial. No question about it. These things are still retailing right around $259 USD. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. It's too much. I typically will tell you guys you get a lot of watch for your buck. In this case here, you really don't. You're actually paying too much for this watch, and I would highly recommend trying to find these at a discount. And I'm going to go into exactly why right here. So, first and foremost, I would of course preferred a, like a sapphire crystal, for instance, or even a mineral. But this one's going to come with that acrylic crystal, which is going to be very, very high prone to scratching. And it's a scratch magnet, and just like a high polished case, this is going to be the same way. Speaking of, the case is all polished, so it is a fingerprint magnet, and it's going to definitely scratch up as well. So this watch is just going to be very vulnerable to just all the everyday scratching and scuffs and fingerprints and everything else. So you just can't avoid it. The other thing is, when we take a look at the movement, we actually get two positions. So there's the first position. And you can even hear it, guys. But yet, there's no date wheel. So there's actually a date position, but no date wheel. Okay? And then the second position, you don't have hacking, and therefore you wouldn't be able to set this to the exact time. Now, hacking is not a big deal for a lot of people, but I think just the combination of having a ghost position from Timex, by the way, guys, this is Timex. So essentially the way I look at this is like, to me, it's a screams bargain shelf, leftovers. And when you're paying $259, which is a premium for a watch of this caliber, I'm not expecting to get leftover movements that Timex had on the shelf that really does not fit this dial. I mean, if you're going to have a date function, you got to put a date on it, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, I expect more from Timex for sure. Hacking is not that big of a deal to me. I could definitely go without it. No problem. And when we flip the movement, or should I say the case around, we do see that it is a Miyota. This one is indeed the 8215 caliber. This one's beating at 21,600 beats per hour. And this one actually isn't too bad. It has a 42-hour power reserve, by the way. And when we take a look at the time grapher, we're going to see that this thing is actually doing very well. Very little beat error, but also this thing is actually at plus 6 seconds a day. So this is actually doing better than what it advertises as, because these aren't notorious for being the most tuned in movement. So this thing here is actually doing very well. So I have no complaints there. You do get a lot of information on the back, including a 50-meter water resistance, which again, at 259, I'm expecting at least 100 meters of water resistance. Say I put it on a metal bracelet, for instance, or I put it on a rubber, and maybe I want to take it into the water. You don't really have that option, guys. I mean, you could wash your hands with it, you could take it out in the rain, but you can't swim with it. But I think you can dress it down with this option here, and I'm going to show it to you on this strap here. This is actually a Strapsco strap. It's actually their Desari line, or you can even go a little bit crazy, and this is also from Strapsco as well. This is actually that Italian silk with the leather, and this is actually a really cool strap as well. Definitely, I would say a strap monster for sure because of the 20 millimeter lug width. Now, the dimension of this watch actually is pretty classic. I mean, you're looking at a 40 millimeter case diameter. You're looking at a 13.3 in thickness. You're getting a lot of that dome crystal, though. I mean, check that out. It definitely pops up there and gives it some of that girth. So it's a little bit deceiving because the watch actually isn't really that thick on the wrist. Then we're looking at a 48 millimeter lug to lug. And I'll tell you what, guys, I mean, as I said before, it's very photogenic, and it just screams classic. You do get luminescence on the handset, but nothing to brag about, and nothing that I'm even going to show you guys because it doesn't last very long, and it's not very impressive. We don't get a sign crown here. And we do get the side profile here where the lugs do taper down a bit, so it does actually wear pretty well on the wrist here. I do have a 7-inch wrist, and it just fits really, really nicely, guys. No problem there. It doesn't spill over the wrist, and as I said, it does wear, well, I mean, it does look kind of thick on the wrist, but I think because it's light, I never really thought twice about it. I always felt like it was thinner than actually what is measured here. So so the 13.3 is really not too bad at all. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and give you guys just some final thoughts. All right, just a few final thoughts on the Timex Snoopy Beagle Marlin Automatic. For $259, guys, it's tough to really justify the price tag. I mean, obviously you're paying a premium for having Snoopy there. It's a clean watch. It wears well, but you don't get all the bells and whistles that you would expect in a watch for this price point. You don't get the hacking. You do get a ghost position. You get that acrylic crystal. The movement's actually okay with the Miyota movement, automatic, 42-hour power reserve, 21,600 beats per hour. Non-hackable movement, that's okay too. Again, I mean, we're not getting any loom really. There's just a lot of things that, to me, just don't justify the $259 price tag. That's just the bottom line for me, and that's also my 2 cents. You can keep the change, and always remember that there's always time to be kind to one another. Please take care of each other, and I'll see you guys next time on Average Joe Watch Reviews. God bless, my friends.